Welcome back, everyone. My name is Patrick. You're watching the Oilers Rundown, broadcast on the Oilers Fanatic and the Heavy Hockey Network. The Edmonton Oilers, as we know, coming off a huge 3-2 victory over the Anaheim Ducks last night. It was looking pretty dicey, as I reported in the Fanatic Rundown last night. The Anaheim Ducks hitting a goalpost late in the third, and then moments later, Leon Draisaitl picking up the game winner for the Oilers as they get a little bit of revenge over the Anaheim Ducks following a 5-3 loss last weekend. So the Edmonton Oilers, no time to rest though. They're right back at it tonight at 8 p.m. against the Seattle Kraken in Seattle. So have a few things I wanted to go over with you guys today before the hockey game. Let's start with a little bit more love for Leon Draisaitl. Leon Draisaitl scored his NHL-leading 28th goal, his NHL-leading 21st even-strength goal, and NHL-leading 9th game-winning goal in the Oilers' 3-2 victory over a pesky Ducks squad. Draisaitl now has a 13-game point streak, 11 goals, 14 assists for 25 points. The Edmonton Oilers are now 13-3-1 in their last 17 games played. Heavy Hockey's Eric Friesen adds, Draisaitl also records his 907th career NHL point, passing Glenn Anderson for the 5th most in franchise history. So I don't know what more we can say about Leon Draisaitl at this point. He's having a season for the ages, leading the Edmonton Oilers in every single way, and as I just keep repeating, it's just amazing to see. I also wanted to quickly touch on the Jonathan Toews reports that he may be making a return to the NHL this season. It could be delayed till next season, but Jonathan Toews is close to a possible return. Right now, insider Frank Saravalli is linking Jonathan Toews to the Toronto Maple Leafs, Colorado Avalanche, and Winnipeg Jets. There are no reports linking Jonathan Toews to the Edmonton Oilers. We can see a possible link with Stan Bowman being the Oilers' general manager, but I think the Oilers have enough veterans in their bottom six right now, and they're going to be trying to make room for multiple players here, as we're going to talk about. Right now, I do not see him being connected to the Edmonton Oilers. So next up, I want to talk about two of the Edmonton Oilers prospects and the possibility that they may be joining the Edmonton Oilers in the very near future. Carmen Gill posted this report on X yesterday. Bob Stauffer suggested on Oilers Now earlier that he believes Noah Philp may get called up by the end of January, and Carmen would also like to see a call-up for Matt Savoie as well. Now, reports of Noah Philp coming up from the Bakersfield Condors are nothing new. Bob Stauffer has been talking about this since the summer. I think he's the perfect fourth-line center for this team, so he'll be a lot easier to fit in than some other guys that we're going to talk about in a moment, but I would not be surprised at all to see Noah Philp come up here. I thought it might get delayed until the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Edmonton Oilers obviously can have as many players on the roster as they want at that point, but unless the Oilers are moving guys out, it's going to be very difficult to bring in new guys. We also have Evander Kane coming back in March at some point, so the Oilers have some big decisions to make, but if Noah Philp is indeed possibly coming up before the end of this month, that's great news in my opinion. It also lends to the fact that the Oilers may be looking to make some moves here sooner rather than later. Carmen mentioned Matt Savoie, and so did Oilers insider Bob Stauffer. He had this to say, Edmonton Oilers prospect Matthew Savoie is on a major heater. He was in on Lean Peterson's game-winning goal in overtime last night for the Condors. Savoie finished with 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points tonight, and has 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points, and is a +7 in his last 4 games played. Bakersfield Condors reporter Ryan Holt adding this, another great quote from Colin Chalk on Matthew Savoie here. He's a sponge, Chalk said. He wants to hear what you have to say. He's coachable. He's a gritty kid too. He'll block shots. He gets his nose dirty. Matthew Savoie is certainly a player the Edmonton Oilers can use. They definitely have to put him in the top 9, I think, for him to be effective. Noah Philp, I believe, is easier to add to the club just because he can come in as the fourth-line center. You don't expect him to play above the fourth line, but the Oilers would definitely want to put Matthew Savoie with offensive players, put him in an opportunity to score goals, to be effective with this team, and that is going to be very difficult with the Edmonton Oilers' current setup. Let's take a look here at the lineup the Oilers had last night against Anaheim. Nuge, McDavid, Brown, Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Arvidsson, Hyman, Janmark, and Kapanen, Skinner, Henrique, and Perry. Derek Ryan was the extra. There's not a lot of fits there I see for Matthew Savoie unless you're taking somebody pretty big out. One possible roster solution I came up with was a top line of Nuge, McDavid, and Brown, Podkolzin, Draisaitl, and Arvidsson, a third line of Hyman, Janmark, and Savoie added there on right wing, and the fourth line, Henrique on the wing, with Noah Philp centering and Corey Perry on right wing. That takes out Derek Ryan, who's already out, Kasperi Kapanen, and Jeff Skinner. Those guys either traded or moved down to Bakersfield. Jeff Skinner trade, like we've talked about a lot here, I think is coming for the Edmonton Oilers. I liked him on the fourth line last night with Henrique and Perry. He looked good, but ultimately the Oilers probably don't want a $3 million guy on their fourth line. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Kasperi Kapanen could be put on waivers and sent down to Bakersfield, but I've also really liked Kasperi Kapanen, so I'm not really huge on taking him out of the lineup, although he isn't scoring a ton, but I think he has been an effective player here for the Edmonton Oilers since being claimed on waivers from the St. Louis Blues, so definitely some difficult decisions coming here, and like I said, you still got to factor in Evander Kane coming back in March, unless that gets delayed even further and maybe he doesn't even come back till the Stanley Cup playoffs. Who knows? And certainly Matt Savoie could come up just for an audition until Evander Kane is ready to come back, and then you send Savoie back down to Bakersfield until the playoffs. But obviously, the great part about all this is that the Edmonton Oilers have options, and there's many different things they can do here. So it will be interesting to see what happens here in Oil Country over the coming days, weeks, and months as the Oilers look for that perfect lineup heading in to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Focusing back on tonight, as the Oilers get set to take on the Seattle Kraken, I thought I'd read you guys the following from the Oilers' official website pregame report, as it features some very interesting points. After the Oilers had their 7-game winning streak against the Ducks snapped last weekend, the Oilers can become the first team in NHL history on Saturday to defeat the Kraken 7 times in a row, with their run against Seattle being their second longest active winning streak over a single opponent. The Pittsburgh Penguins are first at 7 games. Leon Draisaitl will carry a 13-game point streak of 11 goals and 14 assists into his team's matchup with the Kraken, who he's dominated over the last 10 meetings with 23 points, 5 goals, and 18 assists. Both Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid have as many points individually as the combined total of the Kraken's top-scoring pair of Jared McCann and Oliver Bjorkstrand. The Kraken are 0-4-0 this season against teams playing the second of back-to-back games. As far as the lineup goes for tonight, the Oilers just announced they have recalled D-man Josh Brown from Bakersfield. This may just be precautionary as the Oilers are headed out on a 4-game road trip, but we should find out later today if there is something more to it. With the Oilers playing back-to-back, I'm expecting Calvin Pickard to get the start tonight, but otherwise, unless there is an injury, I think we see the same lineup against the Kraken. If there is news or changes, I'll put out a video or short letting you guys know later this afternoon. So I think that's all I have for now, guys. Let me know your thoughts on Matt Savoie, Noah Philp, the lineup for tonight. What moves would you make? Who would you bring up? Who would you take out? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. If this is your first visit to the channel and you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan.